Welcome to the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Join your hosts, three-time WBFF world champions and WBFF royalty, Alicia Gowans and Stephanie Ayala McHugh, as we explore all things female health, training, competing, mindset, and living the fitness life every day.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 10 of the Queen Divas podcast. We are super excited to discuss today's topic, leading on from last week's reverse dieting segment, because I believe that for several of you that have just come off stage, this is a great point of reference for you to look at where to from here. For everyone about to get on stage, you should have reverse plans earmarked for later reference, but you should now be considering everything we're about to say regarding how to conduct oneself and how to accept defeat or, a win on stage, and then how to take constructive feedback, seek it, judges' commentary, if you are lucky enough to get that, and make it work for you post. So I think, without further ado, actually, what are you grateful for this week, Steph, and what are you focusing on next week? And I know yours is not a reverse diet, so.
It's not. Actually, no, we're going into prep, right? So we are 16 weeks out from Worlds, and, it's really getting a little exciting, right? You know how it goes with just getting all your things lined up and making sure, everything is, all your ducks in a row and your energy and, everything just starts getting a little more exciting just with the fact that sleep starts getting a little bit more, obviously, it's not that it lacks, it's just like you're anxious. It's like you're putting a lot more on your plate, right? So I think because of that, I've just been back to back, and I honestly enjoy that, though. I don't get to think extra, and there's no over obsessing over certain little things and sweating the small stuff. So I've been feeling really blessed, just feeling really good. The show had me in such a good space, being able to see the event going back on. It got me all amped up. Well, we were able to be on stage. I saw you on stage too, and I watched the Australia shows. So it just, I don't know, it invigorates that passion again. And I think anyone listening to this, if you're a competitor, you need to have that passion. When you go on stage, you need to have, obviously that euphoric feeling. A lot of clients always tell me, I went black. I just blacked out. I don't know what happened on stage. Yeah, that means you had fun, that means that you fucking had a blast, So no, it was one of those things that it just kind of reminded me, it's all about energy. It's about focusing, not on the negatives. It's about focusing on the positives. So for me, it's just been counting blessings, getting everything lined up for prep, feeling good, had the team smash it on stage. So now reverse dieting is the priority for the whole team. There is some that are going into another show. Some are doing, obviously Worlds. So finding a strategy to get them to maintenance and go back into a deficit, or those that are actually doing a back-to-back show, they're just going to be showing improvements because they didn't really hit a low point, which is good for some of those competitors, just going to show improvements to the next show. But for next week, like I said, it's just more about the team, really trying to get the Dallas show starting to get up. We are so close with the Dallas show now. And we do host that show.
On the Dallas show?
It's July 17th. So it's going to be, here in Dallas, Texas. And we've got a really awesome, and I mean an awesome venue and a really great excitement for the show. We've had a lot of, people just reach out.
So new venue, not the same one as you.
Oh, the same venue. You've been to it.
It's awesome. I love it. That's why I'm like, really? You can get a better one than that?
Oh no, I just love that venue. Yeah, I love that venue. It's such a cute theater.
It's the theater vibe. It's got just a beautiful space. I think it's got a really great vibe, good energy in it, and it feels a little bit like production-y. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is. It has the red velvet curtains, and it has the whole. It's just such a nice venue. So
I feel like I should be throwing roses on the stage when people finish their performance. You know what I mean?
Like an opera, because honestly, guys, the venue, the theater is made for opera shows and stuff. It's awesome. So gives you that kind of vibe. Elvis is outside of the theater,
that says enough.
So that's actually been what's consuming myself, the team. We've got prepping for Dallas, prepping for Worlds, getting the show lined up that we host here locally. So it's just been a lot of WBFF stuff. So awesome topic for today that we're going to be talking about judging criteria, as well as, getting feedback and also improving from show to show, because
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
exactly what we just talked
Well,
about.
look, I tell you what, that's pretty similar to ours, our week, our focus at the moment. And look, we're very excited because we've just opened up the New Zealand Australia travel bubble.
Oh,
so
nice.
where I'm just setting up now the trip that we will do to New Zealand to see, because we've got a really large New Zealand team.
When is the New
we will
Zealand show?
It is, look, to be confirmed. There's this potential
Oh,
change
okay.
happening. I don't want to release anything until the boys have
Is there a
released
month?
it formally, but there'll be a change in, I think, month
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff. So,
Okay.
but I
Excited.
will wait for them to announce everything before I go and take the cat out of the
Got
bag, because I think they're still working on some of the finer dates on it.
Okay.
But I'll be traveling over there, running a big workshop for the, broader public, but then
Nice.
also running some stuff with my team. Like I said, we've got a really great team over there. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited. I always love the New Zealand energy. I love the New Zealand environment. I love the country. I love my friends, my pro friends there that I can't wait to see. We've been separated by the ditch now for like nearly 2 years. So I'm like, it's going to be Dan's birthday. So I think we'll probably end up in Queenstown doing something for his birthday either side of this, which will be lovely. But I can't wait to see everyone. So we're going to be doing that. I've also now kicking off my WBFF workshops and roadshow tours again. So we'll be doing one in Perth. We'll be setting one up down south as well. So all of my dates, all of the posing, all of the workshops, and all of my seminars will be released, in the coming couple of months.
Nice.
Working on a couple of new ebooks, and we have a big announcement that will be coming soon on some very cool stuff with a brand new app and product launch that we've got going on. So we've been super busy, predominantly all WBFF. We've just locked in all of our stuff for the Sydney show, photographers, and a whole bunch of team things we're doing, and I'm pumped for that. So I'm super excited, and I'm hoping that by Sydney I don't need to be coordinating any gowns that are special. I'm walking on. Please tell me that you couldn't tell that I was a big swollen.
Oh, look, Ali,
I felt so swollen.
I've seen you so many times for me to know that you already had something like, and I knew you came out of surgery too. So there was no question in my head that you were probably just feeling, not yourself. But no, I completely understand. Like, and for those of you that didn't listen to the last episode, please go back and listen to the reverse dieting episode. It was such a good one. So it would cover and touch on making sure you reverse post show, having that exit strategy plan, and we're actually going to touch a little bit on it on today's episode.
Absolutely.
Actually have an exit plan. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, look, my focus for the coming week is I'm finishing off, as you all know, I'm starting my post-grad in performance nutrition, going into my master's and some research. So I need to finish this module in this semester that I'm in off. So I'm like head down, bum up in that. And I'm also finishing off another course I've been doing in women's health. So that's pretty cool. And I'm excited to finish both of those things. But that's kind of been where we're at. We've been very entrenched in business, and it's really good. I'm loving it. I'm very blessed and very grateful every freaking day for the fact that I get to do this and I get to do what I love, and I work with amazing people. We've got an amazing team. So that's kind of been us. But I tell you what, with all of the focus on these shows and these stages, and having come off the back end of witnessing the aftermath actually of the show just past here physically on the ground, was very interesting, because we had a lot of first timers and a lot of brand new to the WBFF individuals, which I love. I love seeing new faces. I think it's fresh, and I think it's not, I'm always proud of the people that keep coming back, which is great, but I really love seeing fresh faces too. The only interesting thing was that we did have quite a large constituent of people coming across from the IFBB, which is great because they bring great physiques. And I always love seeing, their very unique qualities being brought to us. That's right. The only downside is sometimes with that, they're not aware of what the WBFF is, not fully. They're not aware of our sportsmanship. They're not aware of our grace. They're not aware of the vibe backstage to be camaraderie. Yes, that's right. So they don't talk to anyone. I'm like, no, girls. I always tell my team, if you see someone backstage that's not talking to anyone, go up and force them in a conversation. Because the sooner you can break them into this is what we're about in the WBFF, the better. Because I don't want to ever see an athlete not do the best they could, genetically potential is capable of, purely because they just don't come from the vibe we're cut from, right? And I see it all the time. So I really feel for them. And it's not always their fault. It's just what they've known. And sometimes it's not their fault because they just might not have a very nice coach. Like,
right.
Really.
Exactly. I was going to say, it's like actually stem from learning that though, because in those circuits, they're treated that way and they think that that's the only way to act back. So I've actually experienced some that they're not trying to be mean, like they're just, but they're mean because that's the only thing they know, because that's how they've been treated. And they just put on their headphones and they'll go sit in a corner, and
my take home to anyone listening to this, where and I prep girls for the IFBB, but I still make them talk to everyone. So I can't help it. I'm like, I just want you to be a good human everywhere you go, so that then you don't fall in any bad habits either. And I want them to have a good time. I want them to have a good time. Experience. I want them to make friends. I don't want them to just sit on their own with their headphones in and think they've got to be really antisocial in order to win. Like you don't need to do that. So, okay, my take home point on this, anyone that's listening to this, we're definitely by no means bashing the IFBB. I've never done that in my life. I actually quite like it. It has its place. And I love the physiques that come to the WBFF from them. All I'm saying is the vibe, bring a different vibe, because the vibe where we are is very different. And the biggest thing is, don't come with expectation, because you'll never know how it's going to roll on the day. You never know who's going to turn up. I don't care. Even if you come from a stage where you got second place last time, don't walk on the stage this time expecting to win, because you don't know who else is going to be standing beside you. It is impossible to take that attitude. You've got to go to chase the win for you to be better than you were yesterday. Yes, but don't go on there with that expectation. The second thing is, don't be antisocial and don't be only focused on your coach. Be talking to everyone. Absolutely everyone. It's super.
The less self-centered, exactly. The less self-centered you are, the more abundant. Yes, the most abundance of energy, the most contagious energy you have. And guess what? Your grading is, with some of the criteria within WBFF, is your presence. What's energy? It's presence. So you also have to elude some happy energy. And if you were sitting in a corner, do you really think you're going to be able to get yourself hyped? I don't care what you're listening to. It's still, you're not going to get yourself hyped as much as you actually talking and dancing and, communicating with people, and actually having a good time, maybe a good conversation that took you away from that anxious feeling that you're about to go on stage, So I completely agree with you 100%.
And you also never know where you're going to be 4 years from now either. Steph and I are best mates at each other's weddings. I've been to her, she'll be at mine. And the reality is that happened because we connected backstage over freaking lollies, and then we're dancing and carrying on and taking photos with each other, and for each other, and then we're on stage competing against one another. That's how it rolls. That is how it rolls. That's how you need to be.
Couldn't get any better than that. We were literally in the lineup and we were competing against each other, and we were just having the time of our lives in the lineup, dancing, eating each other's chocolates, fixing each other's suits. And that's exactly what the WBFF is about. And it's literally having sisterhood. And I think that's the biggest take home I've ever had within this federation is I've built a family within this federation worldwide, not just here in the US. I've got you across in Australia. I've got some Europeans. I've got some Brazilians. I've got some Colombians. God, it's crazy how this network of just like-minded individuals come, and we all really have the same passion. And that does touch IFBB competitors. They're competitors. They're like-minded, but coming from a different brand, they're only going to respect, those that they know. If they don't know you, they're going to just kind of, walk right by you, I'm not saying this is about every, professional IFBB competitor. That's not the case. I've met some pretty damn sweet ones, so it's
just got a lot of friends that are IFBB pros. So I'm really, that's why I say I've never had any issues with it. I think it's lovely. I've been the backstage helper for two of my friends that are quite prolific pros now, right? When they had their pro win. So I love that for them. And they're really happy for me to be the pro and at the top of my game in my sport, right? In my brand. And I think that's the way it should be. But the thing that's in common with us and the reason we're friends is because they're not assholes. They're just really lovely people. Backstage, on stage, everywhere. They're really lovely people, right? So I don't care where you've come from. Always remember where you're going to. Don't dress for where you've been, dress for where you're going. That's attitude, energy, mindset, and
good one.
Literal dress, right? Dress for where you're going. So for me, I'm like, start to really learn what it's like to be a pro at this level, because if you expect to be one, you better act like one, right? And that is both on the stage and off the stage. Now, I preface that because everyone obviously trying to compete wants to go pro one day, let alone a champion pro. So there are a few keys to this. And I think the number one thing is recognize exactly what you said, recognize where you're at, recognize who's around you. You can accept compliments from someone other than your coach, and it doesn't mean they're out to poach you, get you, or steer you in the wrong direction. That's the way the WBFF is. It's not unlike me, and I know I've watched you do it too, Steph, to walk up to someone and be like, girl,
you look great.
Good. Like, I loved you on stage. And I did this on the weekend. I was like, you know what? Stop forgetting to smile. Like, everything about you, you know, not my clients.
I was yelling at people that were in my clients, girl, move.
and the other thing is too, like, I've been known to do that with my competitors on stage against me, where I'm like, oh my God, girlfriend, like, seriously, you know, this looks amazing. Hey, have you got this or this or this jewelry with you? You should put that with that. That'll look even better. And here I am helping a girl that's potentially going to be taking something off me like it's nothing. But you know what? That's what we do. So don't steer shy of giving someone a compliment or having an engaging conversation with someone where you might actually make them feel good about themselves, or you might, you know, correct something if something you can see on their suit is falling off or not sitting well, fix it. Take a compliment by someone else. Don't automatically get your defenses up or think she's out to get you or someone's trying to beat you. We're not like that here.
Little do you know, they'll become probably your bestie, honestly. Like, little do you know.
So I think that's the number one thing. And the reason I say that is because that energy translates on stage. So if you are doing all of these things and you're quite shut off, defensive, walls up, being just, I don't even know, unapproachable.
Sometimes it's just unapproachable, but at the same time, you're in your head. If you really think of it, you're overthinking, you're in your head. You think everyone's out to attack you. Everyone's out to freaking try to beat you. And essentially, as a competitor, everyone's trying to beat each other.
Everyone's trying to beat their best self, right? Like, it's not necessarily, hey, Steph, you know what? I think you look good, so therefore I don't like you, and I'm going to demolish you.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I'm going on stage to annihilate you. Like,
like, I hate you now. You look too good. Like, you can't just not like someone because they look or have something that you don't have. And I see that happen too often, right? Like, there's jealousy. And so some people, it's just an inner demon they have to fight and just steer away.
And this will lead into, if you are behaving in that way and not with abundance and not with love and not with peace and not with a space of just, I'm just so freaking happy to be here type puppy playfulness, what you will find is any outcome that isn't exactly as you think it should be in your fairy tale delusion in your head is going to make you bitter, angry, resentful. The first thing you're going to say is, oh, it's politics. It's politics. It's the number one. It's always politics, isn't it?
It's political when you don't.
She has blue tickler, so oh my God, of course she won. No, maybe it just had to do with the fact she looked better. I mean, and that's a hard.
What about those that don't see themselves in the way they actually look, though? Like, sometimes you may think, and this again, everyone has their own image of their own selves. You may think you're freaking way better, banging. However, you have better, tighter glutes than the girl next to you. But that's okay. We're in a subjective sport, and exactly, if you are thinking you look better than her, and 5 judges said otherwise, do you really think your thought and the way you looked at yourself was actually the criteria that they were looking for? Not saying you don't look fucking good, saying that girl probably looked fucking good too. Okay, so
exactly. Like, stop saying she doesn't. So first thing, and the reason I preface that is because I think energy, attitude, and mindset is going to preface your ability to seek and adopt and implement constructive feedback, right? So we've started the podcast because I want everyone to really understand that it's not just about taking an objective or subjective commentary and then working with it. It's understanding that you need to be open and receptive to it first. And you also need to be the kind of person that is happy for your peers' successes as much as you are hungry for your own. Because then people won't hate you. Like, it's that factual. And that
simple as that,
reputation can 100% supersede you, and it can actually have someone that's viewing you have a bias, because it can, right? So
Going into that though, because some people, it's your community telling you you're better, right? Like you should have won, you should have done this, you should have done this, you looked better than that girl. Like, okay,
it's lovely support, but it needs to be objective too.
But it is an objective sport. And another thing is that they don't know the criteria. So many people just they look better. Okay, well, there's also the girl probably walked like a horse, okay? Or she probably walked out there like a little giraffe, you know what I mean? Like, and she had no rhythm. Like, so if that's the case, like in the WBFF, with your judging criteria, you have only, and hear this out, only 40% physique. For your physique to be less than half of your marks, you can't just say I looked better than her and say you won. Okay, so there is other elements here. We've got posing and presence that take up the other 60%.
The suit, the beauty, the marketability, your hair, your makeup, your tan. I mean, there's so much, guys. And this is where, you know, you really need to, like I said, come at this with the blueprint of every single time I get on stage, I'm going to be better than before. The only way I'm going to know how I looked was getting my stage photos and analyzing them, looking at the videos and assessing my performance, understanding my coach's feedback and taking it on board, looking objectively at, when I'm looking at the comparison lineup in my static photo, what really are the things that show up that I could have done better. It might have been angles, might have been the tan under the lighting, it might have been my facial expressions, it might have been the suit choice, the cut, the color, whatever. So guys, you know, as you're starting to hear this, there are a lot of things you're about to be judged on. And when it's not just your body, that can be confronting for people. So again, let's revisit the first thing we talked about, which is have an open mindset, have a mindset of your
non-expectations,
no expectations. It's just, everything is a learning opportunity. Everything is about growth. Everything is about being the best me. It's not about her. It's about me. I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing.
Exactly.
As long as I'm better than I was before.
100. Yeah. And one thing I see happen way too much, and it happens with first time competitors, first time like pro debuts, and it just blows my mind. I know I never thought this way, and I never thought I'm gonna go win that first crown. Like I never did. So please listen to that, people. Okay, like say I never declared in my first pro show I'm gonna go win a crown. Like has that happened? Yes, it's happened to some people. Like they're from some fucking unicorns. They really are. Like Rachel Dillon, and like, you know what I mean? Like they're freaking amazing. But you have to be realistic here, and not saying you don't have what it takes to be the first champion, you know, in your first pro show, or to be a competitor to go and win the first place and be a pro, you know, get a pro card. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Why do you do that? Like, you cannot expect and have these high expectations and also put this pressure and have others put this pressure, because sometimes it's not just yourself. Sometimes it's your spouse or other people that want this more than you. Sometimes it's the coach, you know, so
and you can too
have pressure.
The other thing that I get all the time, which I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe we're having this conversation. Like, don't ask me these questions. Retardo.
Am I going to be ready? Am I going to win?
No. Do you think I can make top three? Do you think I can make top three?
It's like the same thing as, am I going to win? Do you think I'm going to win? I don't know who's showing up. I don't know who's going to be at the show.
I do not know who's going to be on the show. I do not, like, you look great. We've hit the criteria. Your posing is fresh as fuck. But guess what? I don't know who's coming. I don't know if old mate Sandy.
What if Rachel Dillon shows up, Mini Junior? I'm being serious. Like, what do you do? Like,
I don't know. But I know that as long as you are confident that you've ticked all the boxes, we've done everything right, that we've taken our feedback, we've developed in the zones we needed to, we've polished and finessed and polished some more, then you should be confident that you can rock it, hold your own, and whoever may be up there that is a potential contender to take it from us, you make them work hard for that. You make them work hard for that. That's a different attitude. So when you hear us talk and you hear the way I started the podcast and things are important, the things you're going to learn about Steph and I, if you ever see us backstage, is we are friends with everyone. We crack jokes, we dance, we lay on the floor, we throw lollies into each other's mouths while we watch Netflix movies backstage. Like, we have fun all the way through. and we are helping our friends. We are helping pros we don't even know. Man, I've been known to help pros that have been so fucking rude to me that all they really deserve is a kick up the ass. And here I am giving them body sheen, or sharing my lollies, or giving them jewelry because
Kill 'em with kindness.
I'm not an asshole, right? But you know what? There are plenty that are, unfortunately. Just don't be one of them. Because when you're not, and when you are in this space of you just like you're a puppy, just think of puppy playfulness. And it's this is what Afghan has too. It's that just that innocence of being joyful in the moment. You just want to run up and you're that excited, you just want to piss on everyone on stage day. That's what it's like that.
She makes me young every time I talk.
Funny. I always feel like if you can be that, live that, sit in that, the energy translates. But guess what? You are more inclined to take a loss with grace. You're more inclined to take a win with humility. And that is what makes a champion.
And oh God, yes. Okay, so what I was going to touch on that is the fact that we show our true character no matter what placing you get, whether if that's first, last, your true colors come out from your actual reaction, the emotion that happens post show. We all are emotional. No, it doesn't matter. Again, if you won or you didn't, you got second or you got no placing, you didn't get first call out, whatever it was that made you feel lesser or made you feel angry, or made you feel on top of the world, whatever it was, like a placing does not define your success. Right. It doesn't define where you are in life. A champion is not going to be, again, it's amazing to be a champion, but that's not what defines me. It was what led me to be one, honestly, that defined me. And again, showing the character when you lost. I didn't win every show. I've talked about this.
We've talked about this a lot. Neither of us won our first
I'm like, come on, like you got to take those losses and learn from them. There's no losing here. It's only living, learning. Okay. You got to live and learn, take that loss and actually turn it into a win by learning from it.
How we became winners. We were always fucking damn winners, girlfriend. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Oh, of course.
How we turned our natural state of constant pursuit of excellence inside of ourselves into a crown, and not only a crown, but then repetitive crowns we've been very hard to beat since, right? Was done like this. We weren't assholes. We were friends with everyone. We continued to be the same people. We did not change in loss. We did not change in our wins. We were the same fiber. We still are. This is why we're friends. So we carried that through. But along the way, what we did was we looked to every opportunity that was possible to us to access. How can I be better next time? What can I do? There was not a single time where you or I walked away and downgraded the winner. We did not defame anyone. We did not bitch, moan, complain, or say that it was political. Not once. It would never have come out of our mouths. It's not how we operate. It's not even how our brain connects to form the words, right? It's just not even a thought. We just literally, both you and I went, how can we go be better? Or like, I want to achieve that. And better yet, you know what? I always knew I would. I always knew I would be a world champion. End of story. It was never even mine. And I just
was about the time, right?
It was the time. It was not if, it was just when.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I did was I meticulously plotted.
Please take that home, people. It's not if, it's when. Okay. Correct. Your time will come if you keep working for it.
What I knew was this. I was small. I'm still small. I'm still like, it's a battle for me to put on and maintain size. I'm like most women that come from a very petite frame, and I was very petite. I was 42.5 kilos when I started this sport. I weigh over 20 kilos more than that today. Like you were 42
kilos? Yeah, you were a ballerina.
Yeah, you were a ballerina. I was fucking tiny. So, all right. So I was small. So for me, the journey was all about, okay, all right, I need to put on size. But I was a small little natty athlete coming into the WBFF going, okay, but I don't want to become a big jacked man.
I don't want to be big.
How am I going to do this? And I literally just recruited every possible thing I could to improve my position. So every new, opportunity I had to master a training protocol, every way that I could get schooling and mentoring around different approaches I did. I researched, I applied new, structures and strategies. Once I learned more and more and more and more and more about food and bringing myself down and back up, and then working with different people in different spaces and different areas of expertise, I grew and I grew and I grew and I finessed every inch of myself from head to toe.
This is
Like
exactly
every single inch.
what everybody needs to be listening to when they're going into getting some feedback and going into a growing phase, because you've got to improve. What Ali just said, and the things that she took on, to actually seek help, to get more knowledge, to get more information, to grow and to self-improve, because otherwise you're not going to ever really get anywhere. Your stage is going to be there always. I always say that, like, stage is always there. But if you don't change the way you did your prep, how do you expect to bring a better improvement or a better physique to that stage? You've got to be seeking change, and this is the time to do it. Post show, you need to talk to your coaches. If you don't have a coach, then definitely making sure you have that stage photography, stage video, and being able to talk to somebody within that federation. Okay, if you're listening from other federations, like, make sure you talk to a coach within your federation. Like for WBFF, make sure you're talking to an official WBFF coach, somebody that's been, in the trenches or has had big teams or has, been at the shows. It's very important, not just someone that just maybe feeds all federations, because they have a lot of mixed, I just feel like they have a lot of mixed coaching styles for just like 5 different brands. So if you just want to really have some good feedback, of course, your coach, if you're within the brand, if they're not within the brand, find a coach that is within the brand, and they should be able to assess some good feedback from your stage photography, just from being able to see your comparison lineup, as well as your stage photos from your routine, from the suit to your actual condition, to your marketability, everything that kind of entails, because a coach in the WFF is going to know that all those things matter. Exactly. And it's not going to just be like, oh, you need more glutes. Well, that may be one of the things.
It's like anyone here that's done any kind of tertiary level qualification knows about Rubik's, and knows that, when you get an assignment, you get given the scale of, well, these are the things you've got to meet inside of the assignment to pass or fail or get high distinctions. Treat the category requirements like your rubrics, and then you pull it apart and you're like, yep, okay, where am I sitting on this? And what scale am I sitting at different points on? Like, because I might be junior in my muscular development. So that was me at the beginning of my journey, and then had to keep working on bringing that up. At the same time, I knew, and I was really lucky, I stepped on stage as a first-time pro, and I got like a top 10 call out in my first pro show. I got called down, and I was in that comparison alongside the top 10 with some very big names. And I was the first and only Aussie that had that ever. So that was very cool for me.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
But you know what? My posing was so shit. As in, like,
I felt my first pro show.
Yeah, as in, like, put it this way, it was probably still better than a lot of people going pro these days do. But compared to, what it's like, our lineup at that level, it's intense. I literally had to
touch on that. Everybody, when you're on a pro stage, understand it's a hair difference, okay? Yeah, and it's just such a fine line of differences between each high caliber physique there. So for a pro show, you've got that tier of the top, then it does have a little bit of a drop off. And unfortunately, there's some people that just need to continue working, right?
To break into the top. Exactly.
Yeah, break to the top. So don't get discouraged. Exactly. Like, if you are in a top lineup, it's a hair difference. So don't get mad at yourself. Like, I love what Ali said there. Like, I was happy I made the top 10. Like, that's
I didn't break that, but I was their comparison. I sat right outside of it. So they had the top 10. They pulled me down. I was standing next to fucking Susie Wolfenden and Marella Clark. So I'm like, wow. And I had this surreal moment of, like, they called my name, my number 3 times, and I forgot, because I was so, like, I'm on stage with Andrea and just everyone, right? So I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. That was me.
My number. I'm like, what? Anyway, straight down, and then I took this moment. It must have been so funny. I can now control myself with so much more grace, obviously. But I remember, like, looking at the side and being like,
Staring, right?
Yeah,
You just
I
stared.
had
That's
a
what I did.
fangirl moment in my
I put
lineup,
it,
for fuck's
yeah,
sake.
that's
And I
exactly.
mean, you think about it, it was Andrea, it was Morella. I had like the biggest names in the industry all in this lineup, and I'm standing in between two of them, and like next to Morella was then Andrea, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That was my experience with my
So,
first roles.
you know,
I
forgot what I was doing, forgot my posing because I was so nervous.
Oh
So,
no, all I did was stare at
so
Andrea's
good.
legs. I swear. I like
I know,
looked at
right?
her up and down. And I
So
was
funny.
like,
So
oh my God,
funny.
I'm standing next to her.
I know. It was so funny and so surreal. And I'm so glad I got to do that before she retired.
But the mindset, again, you were happy to
I
be
was so
able to
elated.
stand on the lineup with these top girls.
Babe,
It's
I
an
was
important thing to take home. Like
I was stoked. So you can hear the energy even now, like, because I'm talking about it in a memory, right? I'm still to this day so proud of that moment. And I think everyone that was in the audience that had like come from Oz was like, wow, because I was, like I say, the first Australian to ever have been stood up there and called out like that at that level at that time, right? So it was like, it was everyone was going nuts. And I had two of my friends there, and one of them didn't even turn up for that. It's like she worked in the photography section with Dallas, and she had missed it and came back, and someone told her, and she's like, oh my God, I missed it. So my point is this though. What it did for me was this. It gave me confirmation that I was in the right place and I was doing the right things, but I needed a whole lot more work. And it gave me a mad respect for how much more extra and polished and professional the pros were, right? So, because you got to remember, I'd won my show and then gone, but it was only a few months in between. So I still hadn't grown enough, and I knew I had to grow. That's fine. But what it gave me confidence on was that I had something, and they recognized that I had something, and that was in the raw. So I knew, you just wait, people, I'm coming back. Now you've seen me. I know now you know who I am. When I come back next, I'm going to take some names. Like, that was my attitude.
Right. And that should be the mentality of these competitors. Right. Like any new pro, congratulations if any new pros are listening to this. Like, really, it's a very freaking high achievement of what you've achieved. But now you have to have that same mentality. Show up. Don't just get intimidated because Patty, myself, or, even Allie are on stage. That does not matter. You need to show up.
Yeah, you do.
And show who you are. Okay. And it's one of those things that's the same mentality I had going into my first pro show, going into my first worlds. It's like, I just want to know where I stand, what I have. Is it even competitive? And if you don't put yourself out there and actually test the water, you will never freaking know if you have what it takes, because you may believe deep down you have what it takes, but if you don't actually test the water and get the experience and put yourself out there, it's not going to happen. I'll say I would have never had a world title if I would have freaking
Exactly, babe. And then look, like the other thing that I see then is setbacks, where people will take a setback and let that, stop them from doing anything. I took my setback as a momentary pause the universe was giving me to recruit everything I needed to win. And that's actually what happened, because in between that and then going on to win my Atlantic City show, my first crown, which became my first of 5, I actually broke my back, remember? So I had the break. I then had to rehab, and I was the live ESPN pay-per-view co-host on the 10th anniversary, because that
was my world that I'm talking about, that I couldn't stop staring at Andrea.
that was when Hattie then took the title off of Andrea. So this was after
I was the only American on the top 5, Allie. I'm telling you, I was doing the same thing. I'm like, what the hell? I'm up here with a Brazilian, an Australian. I'm here with Sweden, and I'm like, I'm the only American up here.
I loved watching it. I loved being on the other side, and I loved supporting our Aussies and just being everyone's cheerleader, right? It was awesome. But it was really good because it was my first year in 8 years where I hadn't been on the stage, but I was behind the scenes, and it was really great. So I took everything I learned about me, about the stage, about the changing dynamic in fitness, about my evolution.
Competitors, the new look.
Correct. I took it all and then went away, and I perfected the hell out of everything I did in my rehabilitation process back to a stage. And I've just not lost since then. So, what did I do? I didn't get downtrodden. I didn't let it beat me. I looked and I analyzed objectively, and I had self-criticism, and I sorted off of every mentor and every coach I ever had. I was like, don't tell me what I'm doing great. Don't tell me what I'm doing good at. Don't tell me what my strengths are. Pull apart and tell me everything I need to still get better at. And so I kept asking for that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being told I'm shit at things, because then that's how I get better at them, right?
Okay.
Highlight your strengths, bring your weaknesses up until they're no longer a weakness. That's what
Yes,
you
make
should be
your
doing all the
weaknesses
time,
your new
right?
strengths,
So you
always.
need to have very open conversations with coaches. You need to be with someone or around someone, or at least consulting to someone. I've got a fair few people I work with that are actually with IFBB coaches that are fine, because I manage their stage coaching and presentation and bring them through to WBFF flavor. So I've got a lot that I
It's
do that with.
awesome to see the
It is.
transition.
It's really good that you can do
I
that.
love the transition. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had like the same thing, like some, some IFBB retirees, I say, because they gave up their IFBB pro card to be able to come compete in the WBFF, and others, which NPC here is obviously the feeder into IFBB. So a lot of NPC qualifiers or NPC just competitors in general are like, you know what? I think I'm going to try, WBFF. And in the first comment we always get is so different. You guys are very different at everything you do. And it's no disrespect by no means to any other federation.
No, it's just recognizing that the differences are the differences. That's right. There's no right or wrong. It's just
difference, maybe the glam. I think the glam is what throws everyone like, whoa, you guys are extra. Like, this is like red carpet. You guys are in gowns. You guys are in tux. Like, yeah, that's the jam. That's the WBFF's jam. So dress to impress at all times. Like, that's one thing too that some actually neglect, and it's the most fun aspect, in my opinion, down to the federation.
100%, I agree with that. And I think my next point that I really want to make, because this is something I'm seeing roll out a lot in Australia at the moment, and I'm not negating someone's opportunity to create a business at all, but we see a lot of baby pros that just go pro and then they become a posing coach, which is fine, but there are some downsides to it, because unless they have been in the federation and getting coached by a technical coach first, and then finding their own flavor and then imparting it on people, they're teaching people the wrong shit. So on the weekend on the Gold Coast, we saw a lot of really big arms and all this crazy crap. I know for a fact Paul and Allison hate it, right? And they'll openly talk about the fact that they dislike you've heard them, Steph, the flowery arms, the teapot shit.
They don't like the teapot.
Really,
like, they don't like that,
What even is that? So I'd label this as like a sunflower opening. It's like horrendous. Don't do it. It's so bad. But
there's some, and I will say, some people are super authentic and they like pull it off. But there's some people that are just trying to copy, and like most people are not doing it right at all.
And I sit there sometimes and I'm like, oh. Yeah, geez, you look beautiful. You really shouldn't be doing that. You've just literally cost yourself some points. Yeah. So did everyone just hear what I just said? You literally just cost yourself points. So can you please do me a favor? Don't automatically think just because someone's a pro that they're actually any good. Don't automatically think just because someone's a pro and they say that they're a posing coach that they're actually a great posing coach. There are a lot that are still finding their feet. So just make sure you really research well if you're going to go down that route. And if in doubt, review what you're working on and then look at our top 10 and what we do and go, does it look anything like that? If not, maybe I shouldn't do it.
Right. And then it's very true to be able to compare to the top lineups as to what they do and kind of what they emulate on stage, because that's exactly what they like, And so if you need a posing coach, as you guys all know, for the WBFF, the official posing coach is Toby Harrison.
He hands down, he's the best.
Both of our coaches. So you guys are obviously firsthand with the best in the world when it comes down to it. And
there are also a couple of really quality pros that do some great work that I actually really do rate. And I will, it's always really hard for me when people ask, because I like to geographically have an option for everyone on the ground should they need a face-to-face, right? And I have increasing.
Some people don't like doing virtual, right?
Certain countries where I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't even out of these. I don't even know who out of these.
Right. It's so hard.
Really hard.
Really hard.
I'm getting better and better at really narrowing down my very small selection of whom I feel comfortable with. But then when they do it, I say to them, you need to send me a video. I need to see everything you're going through. The minute I don't like something, you're changing it and you're feeding back to them why you cannot do a big flowery freaking arm. And there's Because if you stand in front of Alison and Paul,
Sunflower.
Sunflower. So bad. No sunflowers, people.
Yeah.
But okay, so again, rubrics cube, look at what am I doing? Is my category, am I checking my boxes? That comes from posing, poise, presentation, physique criteria. That is looking at your posing and assessing it with your coach or your posing coach or your stage coach. That is looking at past wins. And, look, I would be looking at the world wins, not the local countries.
Correct. Because that does change.
Don't look at anything.
I would do world champions, world
top I would be
lineup
reviewing for posing. If you are looking at anything else, I think you're possibly doing yourself.
No, I agree. I think the top in any of the classes is
100%. And be looking at the pro level, not amateur level.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where you want to go. The other thing is to take some blueprint inspiration through too when you're looking at presentation, poise, when you're looking at suits and fits and levels of detail that we go to at that level. Have a look at that as a benchmark, right? Because I think that's a very important thing too. What else would you say when it comes to stage feedback, Steph, that you think is really important for someone to take on board? And let's also think about, again, if you've walked in with a really delusional grand gesture of a win and you've walked out and you've got, I don't even know, something you shouldn't be nasty about, which is maybe a top 5, which is actually quite a good outcome.
Pretty good outcome.
If you're feeling a bit sour, I'd probably recommend don't voice it, don't post on social media, go have a long hot bath.
Don't
maybe.
Honestly,
dress it in a week when you don't
exactly. We had to have this combo with the team because it's so important to not just bite your tongue. We all have emotion. Like even my own self, I was like, you know what? I'm going off the gram. And it's just because we all get emotional. Okay. It's natural, even as a coach, as a competitor, to get emotional from a show. You invest so much. And if you don't like the way things turn out, it's natural for you to get upset. So let yourself cool off. Go, like she said, get yourself a chocolate or like me, get a glass of wine. Okay. Get yourself a glass of wine or whatever you need as your refeed, and then really think it over and reassess your emotions a week later.
You know what some people need? Some people need a Hannibal Lecter mask. Put it on immediately after the show, go home, sit in a little cage, don't talk to anyone.
Don't talk to people, because the thing is that your negativity is going to come out, and then that is going to go into she said, he said, whole spiral of a bad conversation, and then you just have a bad reputation. You do bad reputation because you're bad sportsmanship. So trying to make sure you reassess your emotions, talk to your coach, wait till your stage photography. It usually takes a week or two to get back anyway. Let yourself cool off, re-look at these stage images, look at the stage footage, and then really see, was I looking at myself that way? Not from how I felt.
Not how I think I look. Yeah.
Yes, correct. And so going into stage feedback, I think too many people in the WBFF go into thinking it's just physique. So trying to bring in the element of reassessing, maybe it's not so much your physique that was off. Maybe it was your prep itself,
presentation.
The presentation, but I'm saying the prep, meaning you didn't freaking practice your posing. That's what I mean. The prep itself was shit. You only focused on, that too, right? But if you only focus on your nutrition and your training and you leave it to the back end to just do your posing, your presentation is going to suck. So, and you may be that one unicorn that is just super graceful on stage, but let me tell you, I still haven't run into her yet that I've coached or anything like that. Honestly, everyone still needs a little help and needs some direction and needs to know what to do. And if you don't practice in your prep the same way you train and eat, you are not going to be able to bring your absolute best to stage. Right. So just the same way that you treat everything else in prep, treat your posing. So that would be number 1 for presentation. Make sure you match your prep effort with the posing, and with the makeup and your marketability, make sure you choose the right colors for yourself.
Yeah, exactly right. Right. So having that attention to detail at every level is important. I think looking at the designs that are trending, I think trying to be unique, I think trying to always do something different from the year before. Don't get caught in the trap of going, well, I really like that. That looked good on me last year.
So let me do it again. Right.
You do that again, you don't stand out, sister. So
you get boring.
change it. Don't be
Yes.
boring.
Yeah.
No one likes vanilla. Okay. No one likes vanilla. Actually, I
Hey,
should
I like
Like
vanilla.
But I can tell you now, I've actually heard that on a judging panel, being like, pretty, little vanilla. Don't be
Yeah.
vanilla.
Right. Don't be vanilla.
Stand
Don't
out,
be
stand out.
boring. Don't be boring. Yeah.
So
So
with also the feedback, I think the other important thing is, okay, so grace and class when it comes to losses, humility when it comes to wins. You are not better than anyone. Don't become a narcissistic asshole just to have a crown on your head. It happens. Don't be one of them. I would also strongly suggest then that even if you get the crown or the pro status, doesn't mean you don't have shit to improve upon at
always.
all. You better get off the stage at whatever your lineup ranking is and go away with the pursuit of how do I perfect this further?
Yeah.
Not perfection in total, but just progress towards, finessing and
How do
perfecting
I
a
improve?
particular area. Exactly right. So,
I improve, whether if it was a win or
you
loss.
never stop doing that. It doesn't matter. Not even at our level. Steph and I are always being fussy
How
about
do we
what
get
else
better?
we're working on. Exactly. It's not a case of you get somewhere and then you can sit on your laurels. You've got to literally keep chasing yourself to stop anyone else from sitting where you sit. Literally.
Yep. If you lose your humbleness in this sport, you're honestly
You're down, going down
you're
a slippery
down.
slope.
You're in for it. So you've got to stay humble. Stay humble by working hard. No, there is always someone trying to work harder than you, because there is. Okay? There's always someone that you don't know who they are. You better be freaking working your hardest, because there's someone coming after you. So if you are at the top, you better not fucking rest, because you better be fucking trying to get better, okay? If you are not at the top yet, you be that person that's outworking the person at the top. You can be that person. So keep them hungry and keep staying hungry. That is how I'll leave that.
At some point, the people at the top have got to retire. So whether you keep chasing it long enough to even just step into it from that point, even, it's worth it. So don't give up is the point I'm trying to make.
Yes.
Okay. And the final thing is, there is no such thing as bad feedback. Like none, ever. Not a single word of it. Every single word you get that is a gap on where you want to be, that's your opportunity to go away and create an action plan to fill the gap. It is not something you should hate on. It is not something you should turn around and point politics or shout abuse at people for. It is something where you got to own it, turn up the next day with the game plan to be better the day after, and keep chasing that relentless pursuit of excellence in your own right, because that is how you build a winning anything.
Exactly. No matter if it's stage, it could be your business. It doesn't matter what. Yes, you're focusing on there. Don't go in with high expectations. Don't go in by pressuring yourself.
Don't be entitled for a goddamn win, because I can't stand that. I see that attitude all the time. Oh, well, I've got this and I've got that, and I've come back, or I've had a profile, I've got a social following. I don't fucking care. Get on that stage, be a good human, and show us that you've got everything it takes to hit the criteria.
And for those that are so obsessed of thinking, oh, I'm never going to beat that person because they have a social media profile of this,
let go of that immediately.
They're so get out of the mentality of thinking that you're not going to beat someone because they're at the top. You can dethrone someone by fucking outworking them. Okay. Outwork them every fucking day and you will get there. It may take you a long time, but who cares? If you honestly believe in yourself, and this comes down to self-improvement, going into an actual building phase and really applying yourself, not taking the loss, if it was a loss, as a loss, take it as a learning experience and actually apply yourself to get better. That's the whole process of the journey of honestly competing. But if you are not competing and this is just something that you want to do just to get on stage, don't think that this is political just because you didn't win either. It was you getting on stage again. It's a win. You're a winner by just finishing prep.
My final point that I would definitely end on is this, everything that you present to the world, in person or on digital, is a direct extension of you, right? Whether you like it or not. So really check yourself on what you say, do, post, how you interact on social media. Don't be an asshat. Don't defame people. Don't be a shamer. Don't do all of the bad behavior that we expect from Neanderthals, because that's just not going to serve you, and it's definitely not going to make anyone want to give you the time of day. I would also strongly suggest you pull up your coach. If they're a little emotionally unintelligent and doing dumb shit, they are a reflection of you too. So pull up anyone in your family. Don't post that mum, dad. Like, I love that you love me and you think I'm fantastic. And you know what? One day I will be the winner, but it's not their fault that I didn't win this time either. Right. So just please know that sort of response and attitude, it will get you nowhere. And instead having a, really quite humble approach to going, hey, I concede defeat on this occasion, but you watch me come back bigger and better and stronger. That's a totally different attitude. That's a winning attitude. Take that attitude every day of the week. So the attitude I talked about at the start of the podcast and the attitude I talk about at the end of the podcast, bookmark that on either side of all of the processes where you are pursuing your daily needs to progress you, and you've got everything you need to know about how to make feedback and criticism work for you.
Absolutely. Hit it 100%. I couldn't be honestly even more excited about this episode because it talks about every single thing that I've gone through, honestly, post-show, from emotions, honestly, like self-reflection, having to self-improve, and just know this is the journey. This is the process that it takes to becoming better. Take that loss, if it was a loss, and make sure you turn it into a win. Okay. You can turn it into a win by learning from it. If you won, amazing, congrats to you, but you can still get better. Okay. There's always room for improvement. So continue chasing to get better no matter what a placing. Don't let placings define you. They don't define you. Shows don't define you. They are a stepping stone to improve, to show progress. But that's it. They do not define you, okay? So trying to make sure you go into a building phase with a good, clear approach, a good mindset, and don't give yourself self-pity. This isn't a self-pity party. When you come off stage, you could have done this more, or someone else did this. And no, you just self-reflect and see what you could have done better all around, whether if that would have been from the nutritional side, training side, posing side, heck, it might have been even just trying to get a coach. Maybe you had no coach. Exactly. Maybe the coach was a bad coach. I mean, whatever it was, you make sure you reflect and reassess what can you improve on from show to show. Exactly. Each show is there to just help you level up. So
exactly right. I really like that analogy. I think it is like a computer game and you're literally just winning each level one level at a time, right? So yes, absolutely. Well, I hope everyone had a great time tuning in today. I hope that you took a lot out of it. I hope for some of you it was a kick up the ass you needed to be better. And for others that are on the right journey in the right way, I hope that it's just more confirmation and thumbs up that you're doing the right things. Continue to progress, doing the right things. And for everyone else that, maybe questioning posing, remember, worlds only, top lineups, and just check what you've been taught against that. No sunflowers.
Yeah. If you guys ever, honestly, Ali and I are obviously both champions in the Federation of WBFF. So if you guys ever have questions, never, ever, doubt or fear reaching out to either one of us when it comes down to questions or anything. We are more than welcome to even do another topic about WBFF if you guys let us know what you're interested of knowing within WBFF, whether if that is the shows itself, or even maybe officials or actual calls and things entail with the prep.
I think we will probably get the bosses themselves onto the podcast.
Oh, I think so too. I think it'd be great.
Soon. We will coordinate.
Yeah, having Paul and Allison.
Paul and Allison themselves grace the podcast. And we will probably touch on a few of the things that I know they would love to probably educate the masses on when it comes to suit selection, suit size, suit fitting, suit design, and also more importantly, posing. Because they're the two parts that I know they are adamant about the world getting the right message as to what the expectation levels from them are. And I think it couldn't have come at a better timing than if we start educating everyone about it.
So make sure you, when you share this, you tag actually WBFF so you can actually start getting them to let them know that we're going to have them on to this podcast. It would be really good. Yeah. So keep sharing, tagging.
Please.
Great episode. Yeah.
Please do comment, tag, post, share everything that we're doing with everyone in your life needs us. And also more importantly, please, rate us and give us a bit of a ranking on all of our social sites. Until next week, which hopefully we'll have an exciting guest that we will announce. We hope you're all smashing your reverse dieting, getting all your posing in for stage, and just day to day making sure you're being the best version of you.
Amen, sis. I'll talk to you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Queen Divas Pod, on Twitter at Queen Divas 4, and follow our hosts on Instagram, Alicia at Alicia Gowans _WBFF Pro, and Steph at Stephanie Ayala 7. See you all next week.